Here we go with part 2 of What Digital Camera's Guide to Google's Picasa 2, in which I'll be exploring yet more photo tweaks and some special effects, as well as how to get your photos in front of eyeballs. Speaking of which, Napoleon. Well, he had eyeballs and cannonballs and, best left sharpen, yes. We've two problems here, one of which is that at this kind of resolution, the capture resolution, you can't actually see the sharpen effect too well, and there are no controls so that we can overcook it in order to demonstrate, and that goes for many of the effects under the effects tab. There's no real means of control. We've sepia, black and white, but let's have a look at warmify. Well, that's more for skin tones really, and I think we've got some coming up right now. Men sweat, officers perspire, women glow. So let's pit Picasa's glow effect against Rimmel? Maybelline? Who knows? We do actually have some control over this particular effect. So if we ramp up the radius, then take up the intensity, and you can see in the main view the effect it's having. It's making all the highlights glow. There's also a soft focus filter which has a fairly similar effect. Moving on, and the sky is burning, and I forgot my Cokin filter set. Oh dear, it's time for a graduated tint. There it is, and with even more control over this one, you can actually pick the colour of the tint from the beehive at the top, or from this colour palette, and the sky was blue last time I checked. So we've chosen a nice blue hue, and if you stick the feather right to the left, you'll see it goes flatline, and then you can feather it, and you can adjust the area in which the feather falls via those yellow crosshairs at centre of the main image. The foreground's still a bit weedy, but we can go back to basic fixtures and bring in some fill light just to liven up that grass and those trees. But holy bat shark repellent, it's Batman standing against a rather unbutched looking curtain, so we'll try focal black and white. This is quite an interesting one. You've got two sliders to play with here. You can adjust the size of the effect and also the sharpness of the feather. We'll just play around with those a bit, and it tends to sort of drop the focus onto the centre of the image, drawing the eye where the colour is, and the black and white tends to fade into the background. While we're dragging the eye around the picture, let's take a look at this one. An overbearing yellow arch, and the main subjects are down the bottom there in the centre. Time for graduated tint once more. And you can go fairly psychedelic with this, which is a bit mad, but if we choose a yellowish colour that's similar to the existing yellow, then we can take control of it and knock it back a bit. Use the graduated tint effect to darken that yellow at the top, and then increase the feather so it blends in more naturally, which tends to distract you from all the yellow at the top of the picture and make you look at the people at the bottom of the picture. While I'm here, in Vilnius in fact, let's have a little look down the bottom right hand side. There's yet more control over the navigation. A zoom slider. Use it to zoom in and out of the image, up to actual size or beyond. Focus on their legs, or you can use these two buttons here to jump back and forth between fitting screen view and one-to-one. But this is the interesting one. You get a histogram. A representation of the spread of colour pixels, RGB, as well as the black, and you can see it's slightly underexposed. Back to basic fixes, auto contrast, and the histogram will of course change. There we go, it's all spread out much more evenly now. Then when you go back to the zoom slider below, it'll automatically change back to the zoom navigator dialog. Very handy. And now's our chance to actually write a caption. Click on the text, type in your caption, we're shopping in Vilnius. Hopping back to the thumbnail view, and there's our caption. And you can have several views. You can bring up resolution beneath each photo if you're that spotty, or even file name. But of course digital cameras don't exactly generate terribly useful file names. DCM0016 or something like that. I think we'll stick with captions. Now you could spend a happy month of Sundays writing captions, but what if you're in a tearing hurry? This is a neat trick. Shift-click to select a number of thumbnails. Go to the picture menu, go to batch edit. I'm feeling lucky, and they all get edited at the same time. You can apply multiple processes with this technique. Batch edit and go to, say, our old favourite Warmify. Makes it look slightly more sunnier that day, and you see how they all change. And if you still need individual tweaks, deselect, then choose the one you want, and meet King Mindaugas, the only king that the Baltic states have ever had. Let's auto contrast his statue there, and bring in a little fill light. So you have the means to perform batch edits and individual tweaks, but there's more. Enough of Lithuania, let's go back to Legoland and young Callum. We've dropped him into the Starred Photos album by dragging and dropping, and we're going to examine, after an auto contrast, under the Effects tab, the Tint effect, over which we have an element of control. We can pick the colour of the tint, and you can also preserve some of the original image colour with the colour preservation slider. So we'll bring it up a little and then pick a colour. And I think slightly trendy looking thing these days is to have this sort of vaguely washed out look to it. You've seen the BT Home Hub adverts. Picasa makes it easy to apply all of the treatments to a group of images. Copy all effects, then select a number of images from the thumbnail view, go back and paste all effects and watch them change. Here's what's happened in big view mode. We'll just sharpen it to crisp things up, but as you can see it's all quick and easy, which is what we like here at What Digital Camera. So before we go on to sharing, we'll check out one very important function, that is red eye reduction. As well you know, red eye occurs when a flashlight bounces off the blood-rich retinae at the back of the eyes. Picasa's pretty good at eliminating it, however sometimes it takes more than one go to get it right, as you can see. That's better. Sadly, red eye reduction hasn't done much to improve her mood, but perhaps it's because she's lonely, so we'll check out ways of sharing your images after we've saved changes with the "Are you really sure you want to do this" dialogue. Let's cheer her up by sending her an email with a picture of Callum attached to it. And to speed things along, we'll check the "Stop Asking Me Stupid Questions" box. The dialogue disappears forever. Now if you've got a Gmail account, you can email pictures with it or use the default email client on your system. In our case it's Outlook Express. Picasa automatically generates a new email with a scrunched down, highly compressed version of the file, ideal for sending via email. There are yet more options for sharing images of, say, a wedding perhaps. Down the bottom here are a load of icons. You can set up a web album. We've looked at email already. You can print things out on your own printer. You can order prints from various online services, although you have to set up accounts. If you've got an account with Blogger, you can blog them or make a collage or export them to another folder. But this is pretty cool. From the Create menu, you can create a screensaver. All of the selected photos will be composited into a screensaver that you can preview via the screensaver settings, which comes up automatically under the Create menu. We'll go to Preview. There we go. Bit of branding, and then they all appear. Overall then, while Picasa 2 lacks much of the functionality of a dedicated photo editor, it does provide a rapid means of sifting, sorting, optimizing and disseminating images, and is ideally suited to the digital photography beginner or enthusiast, perhaps on a budget, and who doesn't want to hang about. It's faster in operation than, say, Adobe Bridge, although it lacks many of Bridge's pro functions, of course. But it's free, easy to use, and it's good fun. Give it a go.